don't know, what's sure.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. Would everyone rise, face the flag, and join us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got a number of things on the agenda this evening. Do we have any changes or amendments?
We do have some changes. Number 4, we will discuss when we get there. Don't cross it out yet, but the boosters are agreeing to donate some money towards that. But if you go to number 14, you can cross that out. Consideration to approve a non-renewal of a 1.0 FTE teaching position. That will be also number 15, which is hiring of a high school physical science teaching position. You can cross out 14 and 15. We're working on some licensure things with the state, so we'll take that one off. And then number 16 and number 17 will coincide. Consideration to approve and non-renew a 1.0 teaching position, and that's for the elementary date position, so you can take off both of those. So 14, 15, 16, and 17 can be removed, and we will be modifying number 4 when we get to it.
Number 4 being of action items on the first page.
Correct. I still want you to vote on it.
Sure. Okay, with those changes, amendments, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Motion by Jerry, seconded by Brenda. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. No scheduled presenters this evening. Public input. Due to data privacy, a speaker may address criticism toward an individual employee, may not. I keep getting that mixed up. Individual complaints should be handled privately within the administration and sue. The board cannot engage in discussion or debate, and we can roughly take 3 to 5 minutes for any concerns that people might have. So does anyone have anything they would like to speak on behalf of? We will move on.
No, we have some.
We will not move on.
But I just want to, again, hopefully that you guys will end up keeping cheer every day. I've got, my girls are out there recruiting more and more. They really want to keep this program again. It's just, for some of them, it's all that they do. We just urge you to keep that tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Heidi. Okay, moving down, consideration to approve the finance report.
Josh is here tonight, so he'll do that one.
Just a couple things to note. This is pretty quick and easy for the cash flow. We're at switching banks from Merchants to Community Resource, as is our kind of policy with the Board and Finance Committee. Every 5 years now we rotate banks in town. It was every 3 years when we had the 4 banks. Now that White Rock and First Farmers are consolidated, we do it 5 years with each of the 3. So there's some funds in each of the checking accounts as we close out one and move over to another. So the 2 checking accounts you see up there, the balances are, as of the date of the report, March 22nd. Not a whole lot of outstanding things that happened through the report here, May 15th, as we received most of our Dakota and Goodhue County taxes. You'll see as we get into the end of May, being June, there'll be one more cleanup with some tax money. Otherwise, you'll just see the normal in and out stuff of board bills, payroll, and then inflows of ideas or cash flow from the state. The important thing to look at is, in terms of cash flow, the district remains positive and in no need of having to do some aid anticipation borrowing. So, like I said, the quick and simple version of the finance report. If any questions, I can do my best to answer whatever you may have.
Members, anything?
I'll make a motion to accept the financial report.
Motion by Rob,
I'll second.
seconded by Kurt. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the finance report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted under one motion. In the event a board member wants to discuss any single item, it'll be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. Have you had a chance? If not, just take a quick look and see if there's anything you'd like to discuss.
I'd just like to acknowledge all the people up on the screen. I know this is becoming a practice every month. I just really want to thank these people for making donations to the school in a lot of different areas. WEPO is for We the People, but everything else is pretty laid out there. But again, thank you to all these people in our community for their donations. Really appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Kurt,
I'll second.
seconded by Rob. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Old business. Last time on the discussion list, we talked about the consideration to approve the 0.5 FTE reduction in the IMC. And pursuant to what we're supposed to be doing here, the first meeting was for discussion, the second meeting was to affirm or not the reduction of this position. At this point in time, it was our secondary goal to be at 237, I believe, which would put us in that 9% range. Is that correct?
237 puts you exactly at 9%.
And where are we right now?
With the reductions that you've already made, if you look at the screen up there, you are at 264.
Okay. So just having laid that groundwork, let's move and second this so we can begin the discussion phase. I think that's best.
I'll make the motion.
Kurt is making the motion to approve the reduction of 0.5. Jerry has seconded that motion. Okay, discussion.
What was the dollar value on this position again?
It's listed up there as well, 42,905 because it's 0.5.
Thank you.
So if you were to add this on, it would put you over that $300,000 mark.
I went, I had the opportunity to just go in and check it out a little bit, and I talked to Cindy some, and it was a very good conversation. You know, I decided to table it last week because I myself didn't know enough about it. I didn't know what opportunities there were, what was offered there. And, you know, when you look at it, for me, we've gone to one-on-one initiative, but we're getting further and further away from the book, the physical properties of a book. And I think there's something to be said about that. The learning aspect of the ability to put your hands on a book and be able to turn it to page and learn. Some people learn better that way. Cindy does also, in talking with her, she does provide a lot of resources for the students there. And I didn't exactly know what they meant by that when they said they provide that opportunity. But there's a lot of extra effort on that position's part. I shouldn't say the person, I should say the position. And I think it's valuable. I think it's something, initially last week I wasn't sure, or 2 weeks ago. Right now I think it's something that's very valuable, and I think we should really consider keeping.
And I think that's why I didn't ever make that final list for the administrative reductions too. So.
Right, I spoke on that last week too, that I wasn't recommended by the administration. I think it's a very important position in the school and for the students. And Cindy sent us a whole list of all the responsibilities and everything that's involved in that position. And it's really important to the school, and I don't think we should cut that either. That's my opinion.
The question I do have is it utilized enough in the sense that people with study halls, do they have that ability to just go from their study hall room to the IMC and utilize it as much as possible?
They can get a pass to go down there. They can't just go down there and spend their study hall down there.
Okay.
Sometimes when we've had lack of supervision, we've had a study hall move in there. Kind of creates a supervision plus subbing kind of situation, but we have done that in certain situations. But a student can get a pass anytime, obviously, from a teacher or a study hall to go down and utilize the IMC.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we had that open conversation last week, because I don't know that all of us understood exactly what her role was
Mm-hmm.
and all that she actually does in her daily job.
Well, a lot of people don't know she teaches middle
Right,
school
and
classes
teaching,
too.
right.
Rob? I was just, the only thing I'm kind of a little bit unclear about is, it made it to the final cut, but I've not heard anyone who wanted to put it there. Why did we look at it?
You guys asked to move it over and to talk about it.
Oh, and sure, it did make,
That was-
it did make a reduction, it didn't not make our reduction list.
I mean, the first round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made the brainstorming, we called it brainstorming list, where we just started listing absolutely anything that we could think of, the cabinet meeting, and then administration recommendation to the finance committee, and then the after board discussion.
And
So
it was-
it didn't make it over there, but it did, you guys wanted to talk about it some more.
yeah, 2 meetings ago, we asked to bring it to the agenda, have conversation.
As a
on it.
0.5, we had it on the originally as a 1.0, we brought it back on, so. It was a discussion item at that time.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the table to reduce the IMC position by 0.5. So voting yes on this is for the continuance of that reduction. Voting no on this would be leaving the position as is.
No, I think it's the other way, consideration to approve.
We
A
approve the
reduction.
reduction.
To approve a reduction.
Yeah, so if you
So
want to keep it, don't vote yes, you want to vote no
Right,
on
that's
this.
what he said.
If you want to keep it.
Yeah, opposite, yeah.
That's what he said.
Okay, so again, I vote means to reduce.
Correct.
All in favor of the reduction of this position, say aye. Opposed? No. That fails by a 6-0 vote. The position will continue. Consideration to reduce the debate program for 18-19. These are the 3 items that came back to us. I never knew what hit us last time because we decided we were going to remove this, or 2 times ago, and then they reappear. But I believe in part they reappear because we had some issues about maintenance. Jerry?
Part that, and there was open discussion, and we actually never took any action on it. So I guess I requested with the amount of maintenance that's coming due, I think we just need to revisit some of these that need to be looked at, just like halftime for the librarian and some of the other items.
You know, whenever we hear about maintenance issues within the school, we give pause because we have to wonder where those funds are coming from. But if it's not showers that need to be repaired, it's a broken water pipe in the front of the building. It's any variety of things that we're not even aware of as board members because they just get taken care of. So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, these are things that are constantly on our list of things that get taken care of through the maintenance department. So I'm just not sure. I guess I thought when Kurt said, I think it was Kurt, that said, these things cost a total of $15,000. Let's just pull them. So I didn't think it was meriting any more discussion, so that's what surprised me last time. But you're probably right, they were there for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it was because of the maintenance cost, I think, but I think we've already cut more than what we needed to get down to 237. We cut, what, 260?
264, you're at.
264, so I don't think we need to cut any deeper. I mean, those maintenance costs, I think there must be a budget for that, or that's maybe what the fund balance is for, unexpected costs like that. And that I wouldn't want to take programs away from students or cut positions for issues like that unless we were really in dire need, which we're not.
let's deal with these. Consideration to remove the debate program for 18-19. Could I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Katie, second.
I'll second. Okay, Brett.
Second by Jerry. Okay, let's start discussion on that. We voted to reduce the program. How many numbers in that program?
This year we had 6.
We used to, in the old days, we'd cut programs or cut or reduce it if we had 10 or less. So
And just so you know, we do still do that. This year was a unique situation where luckily Mr. Schlichting stepped up and was willing to do it for free. So that's the reason why. We did have 8 kids register, 6 of them finished the season. So I guess you could use the number 8 or 6.
What is the cut then if we did that?
$8,329. It's on the board as well.
Is that because of the judges, why it's so high?
Yeah, judges, and then we
Judging.
still have to get them there, but the entry fees are quite expensive, just like they are for speech. They get quite expensive.
He talked when he was here about a possibility of rolling some of that into,
You called it Congress.
The
I
Congress
think.
program,
Mhm.
yeah, and
What's
that will absolutely be some savings. The number I have to give you has got to be an accurate number. I can't just say, oh, it might be this next year. I have to show you what it would cost with a, with an advisor and things like that. But just know that Mr. Hodges, Mr. Winchell, and myself, if we've got 6 kids, we'll come to you with a recommendation not to have the program. This year was an exception, because anytime you've got someone willing to do it for free, it is a decent opportunity to take advantage of, so.
And do we know if we admitted that next year? Or if
He
that
will
would-
not.
Oh, he will not, so that includes coaching.
I wouldn't,
coach
well, I shouldn't
position.
speak for him, I don't think he's here tonight. I would imagine he would not be willing to do that. He had 2 sons in it last year, I mean, there was personal gain from
Uh-huh.
being our coach.
Well, is it something we could keep as, if we don't have the numbers, then it gets cut, or?
But you have that internally built in anyway, we've
Okay.
come to you before, maybe not, well, you've been on the board, but we're saying we're not running with this, or, like that 4th dance coach, when your numbers drop, that's
Mhm.
why the dance team said, oh, no problem at all, we don't have enough girls to have that 4th coach, so.
When will we know those enrollment numbers?
Next fall.
Oh.
Yeah. But then we just don't go ahead with it. If we don't have enough kids, we don't move forward with it, so.
And
I think we could wait
do we
and see.
use that number of 10, or do we implement that when we ask for the report? How is debate doing this fall?
Well, we had talked about it, and Mr. Hodges can allude to this too. When we revisit the classroom size, we were thinking about adding that as a category, so that we have it more in writing than we do a general, because some will argue that, you look at wrestling numbers, if we didn't have Randolph kids coming over, they've dipped down to the 10 mark, bouncing back up. You might only have 10 7th grade football players out, but the football program is bigger. So you kind of start looking at different things. I mean, that doesn't mean you just don't have 7th grade football, because the program is bigger than that. But we do look at it every year, and we don't run with it if we don't have enough numbers.
so we could, actually we could take it, if we decided to take it off, we could always add it back in the fall,
Sure.
based on numbers.
You're the school board, you can do what you want.
Or if we leave
I
it
like that
on,
idea,
we
wait
can
and see.
always
We can always
reduce
remove
it
it.
based on numbers. I always have a problem with all 3 of these, because we have some of our students take part in these projects, and they probably don't take part in anything else in our school. And if you're not athletic, or you don't care for athletics, this might be your only exposure to extracurricular. And that's always my issue with these reductions, so.
I will add, just on all 3 of these that you're looking at, the students in all of these do pay $125 to join. So it's a little different than some of the ones you've talked about where there hasn't been a fee to participate. So,
I think it's really, we always look at sports and that people participate in sports, but there's a group of kids that don't do that, and some do in the same program. But when you look at these kids that are in these programs and how they present themselves, and I know one student that spoke 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, it's like, wow. A lot of that was from debate, I think, a lot of experience, and it's just good to see that and to pull that. Some things are more valuable than just what we're looking here on paper too, so.
And I think for those kids who do only do this, it's what keeps them doing well in school, because they want to be able to participate, so they need something that keeps them pushing forward too. So I just think it's good to have them as long as you have the numbers
Yeah.
to
But
support it.
that's where I struggle, if they
Yeah.
don't have the numbers.
If they don't have the
And
numbers,
it's
We don't know
based,
yet.
Then-
based on the number of students and what we're looking to try to cut to stay
right.
relevant or even,
I understand.
I
I
do
like
think
waiting.
building
That's
in
what I
some
thought.
safety measures of making it a board action, that you have to have 10 to participate, I think that would be very wise on your part, just across the board. Because then coaches would know. I mean, I've talked to Heidi about this. I said, you gotta recruit some kids. I need
Yeah.
solid numbers or we can't do that. And I think that promotes the coaches to go out and make sure they've got some of those numbers too. But I would encourage you, and we'll do that here this spring still, is adding that, just like you do for classroom guidelines. You need to have some guidelines for your activities too.
I like the idea of waiting though to see what the enrollment, not cutting it now based on this year, but waiting to see, maybe they can recruit some more kids if they know it's, jeopardy, and then waiting until we get the numbers in the fall, like you were saying,
Yeah.
not just dropping it now.
Yeah, and I think debate is a great thing, but
Yeah.
if you don't have the participants, I
Right.
really struggle with wanting to keep it.
But I think if you cut it now, you're not going to have the drive for them to try and recruit more people
Or will you?
to be into it. I don't know, because if they think that it's
Go on.
gone,
Mhm.
maybe it won't be as.
Mhm.
Whereas if they think it's in jeopardy, maybe that will be something that they will.
When would
Try
we
harder.
decide if we were to put in that policy in place for extracurriculars for
It would be a
10?
policy, it would be a procedure that you vote on and make formal. I was looking at during that first board meeting of May and implementing for next year. We already have the guidelines. I mean, Jake comes to me with numbers. The problem is we have sports sign-up night. Not everyone comes, those kinds of things. So that's the process we need to figure out on our end, is if you're not registered that night, that sport could be in jeopardy, because we can't wait till the first night. I'm even guilty of it. I missed spring sports sign-up and I paid the day sports started, and we can't do that because then my kids aren't on that list. So we don't have accurate numbers because we're allowing people to go past that date. So that'll be a part of the procedure that we're working on. And admin will work on getting that together, just like we did for the guidelines, and then you guys can tweak it whatever what you're comfortable with.
Anyone else?
Do we have a motion on that?
We have a motion and a second to reduce the debate program for 18-19. So a yes vote. Do we need to add any caveats to this at all? Any
No.
addendums to this at all?
I wouldn't.
Okay,
We'll just leave
with
it
the
at-
understanding that, well, we don't know what we understand here till we make a motion. So a yes vote would be to reduce the debate program. All in favor of the reduction of the debate program, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
That fails by a 5-1 vote. Jerry, you the dissent?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, item 3, consideration to reduce the cheerleading program for 18-19. Are we using that same 10 conversation in here? And what does the program cost?
This is one program that has done all of their own purchasing. Cheerleading uniforms are very, very expensive. We have different size girls that come through. We have different heights, and she may have to get new uniforms, but has always been able to get grants for that. So we have not. I looked back, I couldn't even find the last time that we bought uniforms for cheerleaders. So this one, the reason why it looks so low is it truly is just the coach stipend. We don't add in transportation. Some would argue that they take up seats on the bus, but the bus is already going there. So those kinds of things. So really, this isn't a cost outside. As a matter of fact, next year they have new uniforms, again, that Gemini has completely sponsored, stepped forward, and our coach works at Gemini and asked for that donation and received it. So we're also ready for that.
Do we know any numbers, or just based on this year? Or?
Prelim numbers look to be about 12. We have a big 6th grade group going into 7th. We don't let 6th graders cheer because they can't be on the sidelines of a varsity game, but a 7th grader can. Coach had come forward before asking if 6th graders could join to increase our numbers last year. We decided that was not a good idea, just to stay in compliance with Minnesota High School League and whether they could be on the sidelines or not, and there's all kinds of things with that. But because that big 6th grade group is going into 7th, we're pretty confident that we've got at least 12.
And what's the fee for joining?
$125. Remember, the more sports they're in like this, though, they hit the family cap as well.
Mhm.
So But no, they pay $125 just like every other athlete.
Other than football, do they cheer for any other sports?
They don't. We used to have wrestling, we used to have basketball. That's really gone away with dance being so popular. Competitive cheer has really become kind of a big thing as well, so that's why you don't always see another team. But football is still very common.
And so the activity fees nearly pay the stipend anyway, if you had 12 girls.
Yeah, you'll have free and reduced in there. There's a lot of scholarships that can go in any of these sports, so I can't promise you that revenue is coming in, but yeah.
Let's have a motion.
Go ahead. I'll make a motion.
Kurt has made the motion to reduce the cheerleading program for the upcoming year. A second?
I'll second.
Second by Katie. Okay, let's continue with what we're doing.
I guess I would agree if there's 12 girls that are going out for cheerleading next fall, that even with reduced, it's gonna cover.
But again, that's why that procedure will be good.
Right.
12 girls saying they're going to do it, and then
Versus
8 come.
right.
I think having that procedure in it will be a safeguard that doesn't put the admin in a bad spot or us making some decision on the start of date. I think it needs to be by sports sign-up night. That's the number we use. It's the same as when we do high school registration. We use those numbers to come to you on reductions. Kids move around later in their schedule, but we use that as our number. And I think it'll be very wise for you to move forward on some sort of procedures on that. So.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second on the floor to reduce the cheerleading program. A yes vote would support the reduction of this program. All in favor of the reduction of the cheerleading program for 18-19, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
That fails by a 6-0 vote. The program continues, again, subject to numbers. Item 4, consideration to reduce the musical to an every other year starting in 18-19.
Right. There's been a lot of conversation about this. Our music boosters really stepped forward, and I got an email this week that they would like to contribute $4,000 towards the, and you see up there, $5,200 is what they were able to rally and get to have it pay the offset of that other year. So your vote tonight, I can't just take it off because they're not willing to do the full amount, but the cost to the district would be $1,200. We approximately have 25 to 30 kids involved in the musical. So,
Is that correct? Is it $2,000 a year for the every other year? So we decided as a district we would bankroll every other year.
correct.
Of the
And then
musical.
they'll do 2 and 2.
They'll do 2 and 2, so the real cost is $10,400, and they're going to do.
They're going to take it down to the 8, under the 8 mark. We also, I guess, have had conversation, I can't verify this to be sure, but some of the directors have also stepped forward to say they would donate some of their salary.
May consider.
I don't want that number said tonight because I don't know if it's accurate or not, so we're going to just go with what we do know. So, pretty significant donation from our music boosters, and just found out about that on last Thursday. So it's been pretty, it was after the agenda was already out.
So, let's have a motion to reduce the musical to every other year. That's on the table, right? Okay,
We don't have to if nobody wants it.
what's that?
We don't have to make a motion if nobody wants to vote on it. We can just let it go to the next item. Motions are required.
That is true. But if you want it for the books, you can do that if you want to.
Should have told me that 3 sessions ago.
But there was good conversation, so, but yeah, if nobody wants to.
I'll make a motion.
Rob, you threw that at me. I'm thinking, geez, what am I going to do here? Motion by Jerry, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Katie. Other discussion?
I think the musicals are great, and it brings together the band and the acting and the singing, and something kids look forward to every year. And it's great for the community too. It's one of the events I always go to. So I just want to
So much talent there.
Yeah.
And I think this is one that really, this is the only thing some of these kids do.
Yep.
Mhm.
Not involved in any of their extracurricular. And I don't think we'll ever have a numbers issue with participation.
Yeah, and
Just-
and the music department, we
Yeah.
have great coaches, and the drama coach, and the Miss Frankie, and band director.
Okay.
Mr. Langford?
Mr. Legvold, yes.
A yes vote to reduce the musical to every other year. All in favor of that reduction, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
That fails by a 6-0 vote. Consideration to approve the plan for water testing.
Oh, the feds have been at it, and they've got new procedures for us to do our water testing. This is the statement. I know you all saw this in your packet. The Cannon Falls Area School District performs water testing, which includes lead testing every 5 years. These tests are performed in each building, serving the pre-K-12 grade students. Tests are done on December 15, 2016, and are scheduled before December 14th of 2021. Test results are posted on our webpage and always will be. If you look on the webpage or this document, you can see. So if you get calls from the media, we are testing for lead, we're in compliance, and everything is good. But we also have to have this on the board agenda. So this is procedural. And just so you know, this costs you close to $4,000 to do.
Every 5 years.
Take a water sample.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan for water testing.
Motion by Kurt,
I will second.
seconded by Rob. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval for the plan for water testing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the 18-20 para contract.
I've got the 3 negotiations, contracts that I've got done up on the screen up there, just with some notes, and I'll walk through each of them. We're starting with the paraprofessionals. They were very good to work with. We know we have some glitches. If you've looked at salaries, we are below McDonald's, we are below the nursing home, we are below the clinic, and all of those things. We really, really needed to kind of front load their 5%. They came in much higher. They came in, I believe, at 5 and 5, and we were able to do this. We added 2 holidays instead, so there is some expense there. Some of your first level paras, your 1, 2s, and 3s, their percentage of increase is about 2%, and then there's some longevity built in at the end, averaging out to be 4.99% on their contract. I know it is a little scary to see it front-loaded, but I am really struggling to compete with GCD, all of those things. It's really important that we compensate our paras so that we keep very good TAs in the. We really need them to be good employees. So it is with my recommendation to approve the para contract. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Brenda, second.
I'll second.
Second by Katie.
Just for the record too, Bob, I will be abstaining from the vote.
Oh, that's right. Thanks, Kurt.
Other discussion? All in favor of the para contract as shown, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Kurt has abstained, 5-0 with the abstention. Thank you. Consideration to approve the 18-20 food service director contract.
Okay, not much has changed here. This one actually took a long time. Wendy's been here a lot of years. She does a lot of things for the district, and we know that we get a great bang for the buck, but we're just not in a place to do a lot in movement. So she came in, again, with 5 and 5 like other contracts have. We were able to settle at 2.5, 2.5. I did add a personal day. She's currently got 3, and the 4th days allows her. We don't have to get a sub for her, so that was another good expense, but yet she can use it if she wants. She can cash out for it if she doesn't use it, so keep that in mind, but those are the big changes in her contract. She also wanted to get paid for the summer program. We just don't have the funds to do that right now, so we're going to work out some other deals on that. We'll figure something out, but we just couldn't afford the stipend at this time. So her contract ended up being very simple, 2.5, 2.5.
Is that considered a 12-month kind of?
She's on a 205 day.
Oh, so that includes the
Yep.
summer?
And that allows some ordering, you know, before school she's here. She gets a lot done on those 205 days. We were looking at adding days, but then added expense with that as well. So we decided not to do that as well. But she's on 205 and has been for a long time.
Does that count her summer days?
It can. If we moved them around, it's just she uses those before school and after school. And, you know, anytime we come in with OSHA or anything like that, she needs to be there and be present. And it's a lot of bookkeeping and things like that. She does a lot for the district, and we're very, very thankful to have her on board.
Did she get a stipend in years past?
She did not. We were looking at some things for, I think what you're thinking of is the concession stand. We've moved some things around there. No?
Let's look at that summer breakfast.
No. We were looking at doing that, but we never did. So it would be my recommendation to approve Wendy Robinson's Director of Food Service contract.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jerry,
I'll second.
seconded by Rob. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the 18-20 food service employee contract.
This one took me the longest and it's been the most interesting, but we did, Lori's getting some giggles out of that, but 2.5 is where we settled. Something that was really interesting that was in their contract that ended up, because I was trying to figure out why are we in the hole in lunch? We just shouldn't be where we're falling behind. What was happening is the holidays, people were using them kind of like vacation. And so we were having to get subs because they were taking their Christmas holiday the Friday before Christmas, for example, and then allowing, to get a sub in the lunchroom. So we changed the wording. This was a really big deal, but all holidays pay that they have in their contract, I can't change that, must be taken on non-student days. So there'll be no more kitchen subs, except for if they were to be sick or something like that. The other thing is catering has been kind of a big deal. We decided up to $20 an hour because if you come in to bake cookies for the PTO event, you should get paid $20 to come in and make those cookies. No one really wants to do the catering events. We have struggled to get people to come in and do them, but we have to have someone with a Safe Serve license to be at these events. PTO would love to do their event without someone from the kitchen. The Humanities Dinner, it'd be nice if we could just do it, but we can't. Because that is charged back to the organization, we thought we could go to a nice flat rate of $20. So it doesn't matter if you've been here 1 year or if you've been here 21 years. Everyone gets $20 for a catering event. They already clock out of their old event, or their work day, and then clock in as a catering event. So the bookkeeping is very easy. So that was an add-on, but doesn't cost us anything because we charge that back to the organizations.
So is it $20 or $20 an hour?
$20 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just my notes to keep me. When you start meshing all the contracts, I have to keep them straight.
Okay.
And they, just so you know, they came in at 4 and 4, and so we're thankful that they were able to settle at 2.5 as well. It would be my recommendation to approve the food service employee contract.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Brenda on the motion,
I'll second.
Kurt second. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We should probably get on the agenda the discussion about lunchroom and cost. I don't know if we could increase that every year.
Oh, it's already on the agenda. We've already got it on. Yep.
We're way ahead.
We got that.
That's not next.
Consideration to approve the retirement request effective at the end of 17-18.
These next two are kind of actually hard for me. I've worked with them my entire time that I've been here. Maureen Winchell is our first one. She's a first grade teacher, always taught first grade. She's been here 22 years and had both of my kids in first grade just by coincidence, but she is absolutely outstanding and she will be missed by everyone. I think she wants to spend some time with those grandkids of hers, and we wish her well. She's just been nothing but a pleasure to work with, so we'd like to thank Maureen Winchell for her 22 years of service.
I'll make a motion to approve the retirement request.
Motion by Kurt,
I'll second.
second by Rob. All in favor of the approval of the retirement request, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve retirement request effective at the end of 17-18.
This one is for Barb Templin. Many of us, our kids have gone through her classes as well. If you don't know a cat story from Barb, your kids are missing out. She's always got really fun kitty stories, and your kids definitely talk about her. She's a favorite amongst many, many kids. So after 17 years, she has decided to retire as well, and we wish her the best of luck. These are two really, really great teachers, just top notch. So kind of sad to see them go, but you also get really excited about all the things they say they want to do, and grandkids and all those things. So yeah, it's pretty neat. But obviously, we wish both of them well.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Brenda,
I'll second.
seconded by Jerry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to post and hire a 1.0 FTE.
Yeah, Barb's position will need to be replaced. Tomorrow I will be sending an email out to staff. People can move around internally. We'll leave that open for a couple weeks. But at the end of the day, we will need to hire a 1.0, even with people moving around. So it'd be my recommendation to let Tim start working on that.
Is that middle school?
It'll open up as middle school. If we have someone move around, we don't know what the position will be. Someone with that licensure can move into that position. Currently, it's 7th grade. So.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
motion by Brenda,
A second.
seconded by Katie. All in favor of the post and hire of the English position, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to propose a teacher be placed on .4 unrequested leave without pay or fringe benefits at the end of 17-18 school year.
This is the art position that you voted on last time. This is listed a little differently. It can't just be a non-renew because this is a tenured teacher. You will see this again the next meeting. It's a 2-step process. He does have 10 or 14 days to, is it 10 or 14? Deanne and Brian are 14. He before the next board meeting, he has an opportunity to come back and the statute is listed here, but this is the art reduction, so it's Mr. Addington.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion to consider the proposal.
Motion by Rob, second?
I'll say.
Second by Kurt. Any other discussion?
So, 14 days, remember that's a grievance on an action that we took? Is that what this is, or?
Anytime you have a tenured teacher that is reduced like this, we've always done, you've got to do the step process.
So it's the grievance process, that they have the right to whether they do it or not.
I
is
don't know if
involved.
grievance is the right word.
It's the process and statute.
It's
Okay.
the statute. I wish we didn't have to keep talking about it and keep putting it on here, but sadly the statute says that we have to do that.
Okay.
Anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here,
You're gonna have to do a roll call.
That's a roll
resolution.
call?
Okay,
It is.
I don't have a resolution on that one though. Nope, not on that one.
The next meeting is,
I think you do that on the final one, Lori. That's what you've done in the past.
Okay, I have it here in my computer. I'll just put it down as a total.
Okay. I think the last final one needs to be the resolution.
Here it is.
She's got it folded up with a sticky note.
Thank you. All right, I'll do
Resolution, resolution proposing to place Matt Addington on a .40 FTE unrequested leave of absence. Kurt,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bob,
yes.
Brenda, yes. Katie? Yes. Rob?
yes.
Okay, it still passes by a 6-0 vote. Consideration to approve the non-renewal of a 1.0 FTE assistant principal position.
Okay, this is not a resolution because we're not non-renewing the person. You're non-renewing the position. So this one is just, you've already decided to move it to Dean of Students. We need to make sure we do our due diligence and non-renew this position.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Brenda,
I'll second.
seconded by Jerry. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the non-renewal of a .5 FTE teaching position.
This is for our .5 title position. That is a resolution. Brenda, the part in blue. Go ahead and read.
Now, hang on, first we need a motion and a second on that.
And I'll make a motion.
Motion by Kurt,
I'll second it.
seconded by Rob. Other discussion? Okay,
Okay. Resolution relating to the termination, non-renewal of the teaching contract of Shar
Ajay?
Ajay, a probationary teacher. Okay, we'll start. Rob,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Brenda, yes. Bob,
aye,
Jerry,
Yes.
Kurt.
Yes.
okay, that passes 6-0.
You'll sign that one too.
Consideration to post and hire a .5 FTE Title I teaching position.
Speaks for itself on the last one you just did.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Rob,
A second.
seconded by Katie. Other discussion? All in favor of the post and hire, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the non-renewal of a 1.0 teaching position.
Okay, and normally we wouldn't do this for a preschool teacher, but now that they are on the contract, this will be a non-renewal of Sarah Bergreen preschool.
Make a
Okay.
motion.
Consideration to approve the non-renewal motion.
Sure.
I'll make a motion.
You let Brenda do it. She's
What? I already said it.
Brenda on the motion. Rob, did you second that
I
then?
will second her motion.
Other discussion?
Okay.
All right.
Resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Sarah Bergreen, a probationary teacher. Start with Kurt this time.
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Brenda, yes. Katie,
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-0. Consideration to post and hire a 1.0 FTE elementary teaching position.
That needs to stay with us, that's the last one. This one, all of these will get posted internally, remember? People may move around, that's why it says the word elementary, because we don't know where it'll land. This gives us permission to go ahead and post externally when that position finally opens.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Jerry? Second?
I'll second.
Kurt? Other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 6-0. 14, 15, 16, 17. Number 18, consideration to approve a resignation.
This is Stephanie Berg, one of our math teachers. I would really like to thank her, especially for her before school and after school help with students. Anyone that walked by her room saw her working with kids in the morning especially, and I'm very thankful for her time and effort. She's been here for 3 years. She would like to move to Minneapolis and be a little closer to her friends and family, so she is moving on, and we would like to wish her well. She's done a nice job for us.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation.
motion by Rob, second.
A second.
Second by Katie. Other discussion?
When is this effective?
Next year, she'll finish up the year. Mhm.
Okay.
Finish up the year, okay. All right, all in favor of the approval of the resignation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to post and hire 1.0 middle school, high school math teaching position. It is that position.
Yeah, I heard Tim really doesn't have anything to do, so he can do a little hiring this spring. Yeah, I know.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Brenda on the motion, Kurt on the second. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve a non-paid mobility leave request.
Yes, it's hard to believe it's been 4 years, but Carissa Yelming, you know her, she kind of taught a lot of different grades, last and first. This is year 4. She has up to 5 to use. So it'd be my recommendation to approve this. She's really doing some great things out in the world, so she'd like to keep doing those things.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Katie on the motion,
I'll second.
Jerry on the second. Other discussion? 5 max for this, right?
Yes, 5 years. Mhm.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the summer ag program and teacher stipend not to exceed $3,500.
Right, we've had a lot of conversation on this in the past. It's extensive. The amount of hours they put in is just remarkable. They go to the state fair, they do all the things all summer. They truly do start at early June and it doesn't wrap up to the state fair. So this has been the stipend for several years. It hasn't gone up. We don't have the funds to have it go up, but we do think that this is a fair stipend for the amount of students and time involved. It would be my recommendation to approve this stipend.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the summer ag program statement.
Rob's on the motion. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Katie. Other discussion?
How many more hours would he put in with that program than the food director for their summer program?
Oh gosh, that's not even, they're not even ballpark close. It's all day, some evenings. The state fair alone is 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. The hours are extensive. Food director, that $2,000 stipend, the reason why we didn't approve it is it's ordering of food, which, could be, even done remotely or something, and there's no kids involved. Anytime we pay a stipend, we want to make sure that students are benefiting from that. So I guess that's our reasoning behind that.
There's more to that position in this, don't they? How much time does it take for the breakfast and how long does that go through?
Well, just so you know, that is the community ed.
Okay.
The folks down there are doing that. Wendy doesn't do that. She
Okay.
just does the ordering. It was Molly in community ed and Sarah, I can never say her last name.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. No, there are.
I didn't realize I was through community ed. I thought that was all.
Well, it's not necessarily through community ed. We use the staff because the kids they're serving are at Cannon Kids, and that is a community ed program.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that was all through
Right.
our food director that.
Yeah, I couldn't justify $2,000 when I asked for the hours. I mean, it wouldn't even been an hourly rate.
Right.
The summer ag program, just so you have an idea, most of them get paid anywhere from $9,000 to $10,000 using FFA funds, which they like in this district to give back to the kids and activities. So ours is very, very low, and it is extensive. It's all summer.
I knew it was expensive.
Mhm. We're very lucky we have someone willing to do it, to be honest. So. Yeah, good question though. Great question.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the summer ag program stipend, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Jerry, you've thrown out that summer food program a couple of times.
We are meeting on April 4th. We've got Dave and Lori, Molly and Sarah, myself and Jake. We've invited all the key components and Wendy to kind of see how we're going to move forward and what that's going to look like. We need to get back to the churches because they're having some Bible camps and things like that. They need to know what that's going to look like. So we are going to make some big decisions on the 4th and really sit down. So any of you are invited to that meeting. We welcome you to come to that. It's at 9 a.m. So if you want to step up, you're more than welcome to do that. We just need to make some decisions based on, community ed, Cannon Kids versus community members coming up for the lunch. We're in a bad location. It's hard for kids to get up here. They have to ride their bikes here, but we do have some kids that do that. There's silly regulations on it, like we can't host it on the other side of 19. So St. Pius, First English, any of those churches can't host this program. I can get in the details later if you want, but it is 19 and it has to be on this side, on the Dakota side of 19. So We're about the only place. The CCC was just a little bit better because kids could come there, but then the Cannon kids couldn't participate. So, you know, you get more kids in it if you do it down there. But we need to look at staffing. That's been our biggest thing. You know, Lori's dedicated a couple hours a day going down there and doing that. She's SafeServe licensed, Molly is, and so is Sarah. But anytime you add up all those hours, we just need to make sure it's a good balance for the district. So
I thought this was a federal funding thing, so we at least broke even, or
yeah,
we're okay on that.
we actually make money on the program. It's just the staffing. You know, you can say you make money, but we need to have this meeting, and I think we need to walk through all the details. And I think it'll be a very productive meeting. Yeah.
I knew we had the summer program, and I thought it was all run by Wendy and done
No.
from Wendy.
Lori is actually your
Yep.
key component. She writes the grant and everything.
And then, I guess that's why I was asking.
Oh, sure. No, it's
I
definitely.
see stipends, I'm thinking, well, she's running the summer program, how many hours is she
Oh,
have?
sure.
I
No,
didn't realize I
no.
was going through community,
I'm definitely not a key player in this at all. Lori is the grant writer. She is run the program. She staffs the program. Last thing I want to do is add on ordering of food for her, but
no, right.
we'll get it figured out. We'll make it work.
At times when we're making reductions and we have a program that at least breaks even, it seems like the more we can do for the community in places like this, the more we want to reach out and do just that. But it's a whole nother item to be discussed, and as long as we're having a meeting on it, or there is an April 4th meeting, anybody who decides to go to that, I saw several of you writing the time down, let's not have a quorum there. So if you plan on attending, why don't you just plug into Beth
I think
or Lori?
I think it's mostly the staffing. You know, people forget that we work all summer and we have very, very full plates in the summer. It's actually our busiest time, especially after July 1. I mean, that new money comes in and we're working really hard on some things. So, yeah, the meeting's going to be good. I know we'll come up with a good conclusion that's good for everybody. So we'll do that.
Okay. April 4th, 9 a.m. Okay. Next regular board meeting is the 9th at 6 o'clock as usual. Resolution placing a teacher on unrequested leave. The second reading of that, if you will. Approval of the meal price increase. There it is. Consideration to approve the 18-19 activities handbook. Review of the 5-year transportation plan. And anything else you wish to add?
I just, without sounding like I'm too far in the left field, I was just kind of wondering, when you look at where we're at in the budget and for next year and the year after that, and looking at class sizes and whichever direction they may go, what is our position as a board in getting together with the city and just maybe, I don't know, looking at maybe starting a focus group and trying to decide how we're going to maybe increase business, because without business in town, we don't have.
We are very active in the Grow Cannon Falls, which I think is an organization. I know, Rob, you've attended some of those meetings, haven't you? That's kind of your main focus group.
Yeah.
You know, you're welcome to join any of those because you're members here.
Just wondering what's that all about? What's that like? Are we going in the right direction with that? I don't know. I'm just inquiring as
Yeah,
to.
you know, I'm super involved in it, obviously, but I think the chamber has taken on a new look and a new way of doing things.
Good new director.
New director, and so I think the goal now is Grow Cannon Falls will become the chamber. They're hoping to build that bigger and stronger than ever. Your EDA, which we're a part of as well, Economic Development and Growth, we attend all those meetings. I meet with Maroney once a month, and that is, again, growing Cannon Falls and getting housing and things in our things. The missing piece right now is a city commissioner. There is not that person to reach out to right now. So a superintendent of a school is very similar to a city commissioner, and we don't have that person right now, but I think they're doing a really nice job of filling in for them. But I think that all those conversations are going on. If you'd like to be a bigger part of that, oh my gosh, I would love that so much if anyone wanted to be a part of that. It's a very active group, very driven group. How do we fill the downtown? How are we building houses? What are we doing to increase growth? I don't miss a meeting because we need places for kids to live so that they can come to school here.
And they talk about future growth of business in town. and all
Absolutely,
that.
yeah. They're, and I know, their next step is to reach out to a lot of the realtors and, you know, see what people are looking for so that they're building the right types of things. Lots of great conversations going on, how to extend the east side and the west side, you know, and some of those things as well, so. They're definitely working on it, that is for sure.
If you need more members, nominate Kurt.
You want Kurt and I to be at more meetings together? I don't know.
Okay, anything else for the cause? Contact Lori or Beth and see if we can get it on. Anyone else? If not, I would look for a motion to adjourn. If not, I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Brenda wins. Second by Jerry.
Yes.
Did you, Jerry? I didn't hear you.
Second.
Rob said we could skip this part and just get up and leave.
That's what I was asking.
Oh, yeah.
Any other discussion?
No, making a motion.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.